guys, and welcome back to my channel and a new video. So for today's video, I thought we could chat about all of the Stephen King books I've read so far. If you are new to this channel, I am on a mission to read all of Stephen King's books. Maybe not all of them, but most of them, and I have read quite a few so far, but I definitely have a lot more that I want to read. But it's gonna be impossible to make a video like when you've read too many, so I thought we could do like a part one now and do more later once I've read more books. So yeah, I've read a few books by him and I wanted to talk to you guys about them. Some are gonna be easier to talk about, some are gonna be more difficult to talk about because some of his books might not say that I understood everything. I thought it would be a fun video, and you know, Stephen King is such a big author and I do enjoy watching videos when people talk about their experience with his works and how they felt about them, because everyone is so different and everyone feels very differently about his books, and his books have such a big impact on a lot of people and they're obviously really popular books. A lot of them have turned into movies. But yeah, I thought it would be a fun video, so let's just get started. The first book that I want to talk to you guys about is actually also the first book I read by him, and I do think it's a perfect book to start out with, and that is The Institute by Stephen King. So in this book we follow 12-year-old Luke, who is pretty much a genius, really smart kid. And in the middle of the night he gets abducted, and when he wakes up in a room that looks exactly like his bedroom in his parents' house, except there's no windows. So something weird is definitely going on. Turns out that he's been kidnapped by this facility, governmental facility, that do experiments on kids. So we have kids that have been abducted that has powers. So we have telekinesis and telepathy in here, which is really, really cool. Kind of honestly reminding me a little bit of Stranger Things. You know, the vibes of it, the powers and the experiments and stuff. It's pretty creepy, but really, really cool and interesting. So Luke and his new friends there are desperately trying to escape because obviously they don't really want to be there. And it turns out that there are facilities like this all over the world, and they come together through their powers of the mind to try to shut this place down forever. But obviously that's not going to be easy. And then we have another perspective where we follow a cop, Tim, or I think he's a former cop, and then he decided to take on this new job as a cop, but like in a really small and calm town where he didn't really expect anything to happen, but you know, things are happening. So you follow these two perspectives as they kind of intersect. So Tim is, you know, gonna be the person that resolved this or is trying to help the kids. And it's really, really interesting. You have the aspect of this 12-year-old kid and all the kids there that are fighting for their lives as very mean people are doing cruel and very disgusting experiments on them. And then you have this cop, you know, as he's discovering what the heck is going on. I thought it was a perfect book to start with, and I actually haven't read it again since I read it for the first time, and I definitely think I'm gonna reread it maybe this fall or winter because it's more like those vibes. But I'm actually looking for a hardcover version of this because I'm kind of collecting his books. So if I really enjoy a book by him, I want to have multiple editions of it, at least like one paperback and one hardback. So I think I'm gonna go look online. I would want like a good looking hardback. I know there's this cover in hardback, but I know there's others too. So I'm on the hunt for that, so I maybe want to reread it this fall because I really enjoyed it. It's a really creepy and cool thriller with a twist, you know, with the powers of telekinesis and telepathy. So I definitely recommend it, and if you're new to Stephen King, I think it's a perfect book to start out with. The next book I want to talk about is, of course, It by Stephen King. This, I guess, is very intimidating. Like, I know it's intimidating because it's such a big book. And I read this, I think, last Halloween for the first time, which was the perfect time to read it. And I loved it. It's a really good book. And also, I need to mention that I did read the book before I watched the movies, which I thought was a good idea. I really thought it was a good idea to do because I feel like you had a lot more details in the book. So if you have watched the movies and you like them and you are a reader, I definitely recommend reading this book. It is set in Derry, Maine, and we have these group of kids that are all experiencing the dark side of this town. They are experiencing their deepest, darkest nightmares. That there is a monster in this town who takes on the form of their worst nightmares. So I always thought that was just a clown, but from my point of view, like from reading the book, it's not just a clown, it takes on the worst nightmare. So if one of the kids are afraid of clowns, it's gonna be a clown, but if another kid is afraid of a werewolf, it's gonna be a werewolf, you know what I mean? So it looks like your worst nightmare, which makes it really fucking creepy, you know, obviously. And the kids are kind of the only ones that can see this creature and know about this creature. It's really creepy. And then you jump to another timeline when these kids are adults and they are called back to defeat this thing once and for all. And obviously there's a lot in between that, but I can't sit here and explain this entire book of 1,000+ pages. But you do have two timelines, so when they're kids and when they're adults, which I love. It's very, very fascinating and interesting and cool to kind of follow their lives like that and how they're faced to come back. But what I love about this and what I need in horror books is that it's a good story, you know. It's not only someone killing people and blood and like slasher, you know, that could be fun too, but in a good horror book, and if it's gonna be this long, it has to have a good storyline. It has to have depth in it, and I really think this did. So if you are willing to take up on this challenge, I definitely recommend reading this book, and Halloween is the perfect time for it. I actually want to reread it maybe this Halloween for the spooky vibes, because it's a really, really cool book. I actually bought a hardback version of this on eBay, and there are probably multiple covers, but I bought this and I love it. It's so cool. Look at this. It looks really old, probably because it is, but maybe I will pick this version up if I reread it. Maybe. It's a little bit intimidating though, because the text is so small and it's like so big, but I love this and I'm so glad I have this in my collection. Yeah. Next book I want to talk about is Under the Dome by Stephen King. So this is probably not one of his popular books, because me prior reading this, like, I had not seen really anyone talk about it. You never saw people posting about it like his other books, so I guess it's not as popular as the other ones, and that sucks because I really, really enjoy this one. But if you have followed me for a while, you know why I enjoy this. It's because there is a TV show out there that's based off of this book, and I don't know when it came out, but when I was young, like, I don't know, early teenager maybe, I watched that show with one of my best friends, and it was a really cool show. I'm not saying it was the best show I ever watched, but it was fun, and like, it has that sentimental value to me because it's been such a long time ago when we watched it together, and we just had a great time with it. And it has some great actors in there too, in my opinion. So, and I did not know at the time that it was a Stephen King novel, you know, I just thought it was a TV series. But when I found out, I immediately bought the book, and this is also one of the most beautiful books I own. I just love the purple and like the hardback version. It's so beautiful. A little bit heavy to hold, but gonna make it work. So yeah, I was so glad when I bought this and I read it. I get that maybe people that don't have that connection to the TV show may not enjoy it. I don't know if it's boring, but since I have that with me, I really enjoyed it, and I did picture the characters as the character in the TV show. So, you know, I saw the actors that play different characters, like I saw them in here because I watched the TV show first. But basically we have this town that one day all of a sudden there is a dome enclosuring this town. People are obviously very confused, like what the fuck is going on. People are saying it's some sort of military experiment, or is it aliens? Like, you know, it's just a very odd thing that's happening. And you follow multiple characters in here and how they're handling it and what they're doing about it. You follow both kids and adults, which I really enjoy. I love when we have, as I've mentioned, both the perspectives of kids and adults in the same situation and how they're handling it their own way. You know, so they're obviously trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And it has a lot of political things in here, maybe like a little bit of religion. And we have some shitty characters that are very unlikable. We do, so I get that people may not enjoy this book. Like, we have some very shitty characters as well we had in the TV show, but we do have some characters that are really likable too, so I think it makes up for it. Yeah, I think it was a cool like science fiction type of story. You know, I like the idea of it, and how are you gonna solve this, and you know, what actually caused this and what is actually going on. So if you're into science fiction kind of things, I would definitely recommend it. I really, really enjoyed it actually. Next book I want to talk to you guys about is Pet Sematary. This was probably one of the most talked about books that I've heard of before I picked it up. Everyone was saying that it was so gruesome, so disgusting, so disturbing. So obviously I went into this with kind of like expecting that, which I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but it definitely lived up to the expectations. Definitely was very disturbing, and creepy on another level, you know, on a different level than other books. So in this book, we follow this family that is moving into this house that, you know, it looks right. It's like the perfect house for your children to grow up in. At least that's what you think in the beginning. But weird things are starting to happen. And behind this house, kind of like behind this house in the woods, there's like a famous, well-known pet cemetery where people have buried their pets throughout the years. And, you know, that's not really something they think is creepy or weird, but weird things are starting to happen and disgusting, gruesome things are starting to happen to this family, and it's very dark. I remember when I read it, I really felt, I've never experienced that type of darkness when I've read a book. So I do definitely, like, I'm warning you for that if you are not, I don't know, it just made me sad and feeling darkness. I don't know, it's definitely not a book you pick up if you are wanting like a cool, fun story. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it was definitely disgusting and gruesome, deep dark. Yeah, you have this family that are just, you know, wanting to start their life in this new house, and things go wrong. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, it's definitely one of his famous works, so I did really want to read it, and I don't regret reading it at all. Next book I want to talk about is Misery. This is also a very highly spoken of, I think, and there's even a movie out there, which I don't know if Pet Cemetery, I think that has a movie, but I haven't watched it. But I did attempt watching this one, but I got bored. But I did read the book, and in this book we follow this author named Paul Sheldon. He's a pretty famous author, and in his latest novel, he decided to kill off the main character named Mystery because he's been writing this series for ages and he's kind of sick of it and ready to move on. So he takes the step to like kill her off once and for all, and he wants to move on to other projects and leave this project behind. But he has a lot of fans, and his #1 fan was not happy about that. One day his #1 fan kidnaps him. Weird, I know. She kidnaps him and tortures him, does gruesome things to him. It's very disturbing stuff. Very disturbing stuff. And, you know, obviously when she finds out that he killed Mystery off, she's not happy about it because she was his #1 fan of this series and she loved Mystery and she wanted her to continue on her life in the books. So she definitely hated that and tortured him, like made him write a new book where she comes back to life. And I thought it was a weird book at first when I read it, and like just not very fun, because what you basically follow in this entire book is her torturing him, and I was like, what's the point in this? But then someone commented on a video I did, I think, when I read this, that this book Stephen King wrote as like a symbol for his drug addiction, like that he was struggling with that and to get away, you know. And after I found that out, I was like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. That's a pretty cool thing. So I did really change my mind after that, so that it was like a symbolism for his drug addiction. I've heard that. I don't know if it's actually true, but someone commented on my video saying that. So that made it more interesting, definitely. But yeah, as I've said, there is a movie out there too that I attempted to watch. I think it's a long movie too, and I think I got like maybe halfway and I haven't continued it. I do want to though, because I want to watch the movies, but we'll see. But the book was okay, and as I've said, it got more interesting after I found out what it was actually about, you know. The next book I want to talk about is Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is this small town in New England, I believe, and we follow this guy named Ben, who is also a writer, and after years he comes back to this town and come back to this house called The Lot to write a new novel. And when he was younger, he experienced some traumatic stuff here, so it was like a big thing for him to come back. And as he comes back, he realizes that things are weird, things starts to happen, kids go missing, dogs get killed, and it might have something to do with this new guy that has rented this house that is just new to the town. And when he arrives, like, that's when the weird thing starts to happen. So wonder what he is. No. But it does have some supernatural elements to it, which I enjoy. I want that in a Stephen King book, honestly. I feel like I want that. If not, it's gonna be boring if not. And I feel like I love when Stephen King has real life issues and then also supernatural stuff, which makes it fun and interesting to me. Weird things start to happen when this newcomer gets here and Ben is like onto him. Something is going on. Is he really who he says he is? Like, But yeah, it was a mediocre book. This is not something that I'm very vague on the details. I didn't love it. It's not something that I'm gonna want to talk about too much. Like, it's one of my least favorite books by him, unfortunately. Yeah, the next book I want to talk about is The Stand, or I don't know if I'm gonna talk about it too much because I don't know if I can tell you what it's about. And I know I have a vlog, or multiple vlogs I guess, because this obviously took a while to read. I remember saying like, I'm not sure if I can explain it because it was so long. It took a lot for me to finish. It was way too long. It definitely, I wanted it to end towards the end. It was just not, you know, I remember beginning it, like I remember the start of it I did enjoy, but after a while it just got too much and too boring, and it's obviously one of his most popular works, so I wish I understood it better. But we basically have this, you know, world or town or state or whatever, that we have this flu pandemic coming on, which is also very relevant because I read this like when COVID hit, or after it hit I guess, and we had the same thing here, a flu pandemic, and weird stuff are happening, bad dreams are happening, dark people, like I can't even explain. But we have a lot of different characters that are experiencing dark stuff. I can't even explain it, I'm sorry. I think there's a series I've seen on a streaming site that's called The Stand, and I think it's based off of this, so maybe I will watch that and have a better understanding. But it's an epic sci-fi fantasy, I don't really know what to call it, thriller story about this whole world that's coming to an end. I don't really know, I'm not the best. You probably should watch some video about this when someone can actually explain what's going on. But maybe I will reread it one day, give it another shot. But since I was so bored for the most part of it, I think it just kind of, we didn't really take it in, you know. So unfortunately I can't say too much, but it's one of his, you know, most popular works, so people did obviously enjoy it. The last book I'm going to talk about is Billy Summers, which I actually DNF'd, but I wanted to have it on here because I did attempt to read it. This is obviously one of his newer books. If you know, you might have seen it all over because it's very, very new, which I was excited about, but and I didn't really know too much before going into it. I just seen a lot of people post about it, so I wanted to read it, obviously. And in this book we follow Billy, who is a guy you can hire to kill someone. And one day he gets offered this really, really big job that pays a lot of money to kill this really bad guy. And he is kind of like hesitant to take the job because it requires a lot of him, but eventually he does, and you follow him as he's, you know, pretending to be someone else while doing the job. And it felt like, it didn't feel like Stephen King. I don't know, as I mentioned before in this video, I do enjoy my Stephen King to have a supernatural element. I want like weird stuff happening. This is just like a normal thriller where this normal guy is gonna kill someone, you know what I mean? I just thought it was really, really boring, and I struggled to get through it, and I finally decided to DNF it. Who knows, maybe I'll pick it up one day and actually give it a shot again and finish it. But I really couldn't finish it at all. I hated it which is like sad to say, but I did. But if you like normal thrillers, you know, you might enjoy it. But I hate like normal thriller books where you have just a normal guy like and guns and killing and just like that, just that. You don't have anything else. Like, no, I need more. Unfortunately I DNF'd it, but yeah, we'll see if I ever pick it up again. But yeah, that was it for this video, and I want to know if you guys are Stephen King fans or have read some of his books. Which is your favorite Stephen King book? I would love to know. I feel like I've seen a lot of people say It, I've seen a lot of people say Pet Sematary, I've seen a lot of people say The Stand, but I would love to know which one of his books are your favorite. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in one of my next videos. Bye.